Today, more discoveries during the search for a cemetery in Dakota County, Nebraska. Historians believe land off Highway 77 near Homer in Dakota City was once the cemetery for the town of Omadai.
It's a town that existed for about 10 years in the mid-1800s. KTIV's Clayton Anderson has more on the discoveries that dogs sniffed out during today's search.
Winds gusted as cadaver dogs searched Dakota County farmland trying to pick up the scent of decomposing bodies, the remnants of a 19th century cemetery. In spite of the wind, the dogs did make some discoveries.
My inclination is there's some sort of odor there that to them smells like human decomposition.
That's the conclusion of Jim Peters after his 3 dogs sniffed this rectangular shaped piece of land. He says these dogs are trained to smell even the faintest of scents.
What they're looking for are volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, and research in the last 15 or 20 years has shown that there's almost 500 different VOCs related to human decomposition.
While the dogs gave an indication of decomposing bodies underground, that doesn't mean this land once was a cemetery. Nebraska State archaeologist Dave Williams says the dogs are just one of the tools they use.
In our case, to definitively say, yes, there is a burial there, we would have to open up the ground. We'd have to strip back the topsoil and see if we could find that specific, a grave or burial of some sort.
You may wonder how an entire cemetery could disappear. The president of the Dakota County Historical Society says there are a lot of theories. Part of it has to do with the town no longer existing.
A farmer may have come out here and picked up the stones because he was going to sell the property. He didn't want to try and sell the property and tell them that there was a cemetery on the property. So I don't know. I really don't know.
Reinert says there is one surviving stone from the cemetery in Omadai. It's at the City Hall in Dakota City. In Dakota County, Nebraska, Clayton Anderson, KTIV News 4.
Another reason to see if there was a cemetery on the property is to see if utility projects and pipelines would need to be rerouted.